Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Cheers to you. Cheers to you fine people out there. Wednesday, January 7th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of Hoops Talk. Hanging out for the next hour, talking some Lakers basketball, talking some NBA. Lakers game last night. Lakers game tonight. Got some good content going on around Lakers basketball right now. Busy. A busy week. I think they play 4 games in 6 nights, I think is what I said. So we'll be breaking it all down. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Hopefully everybody's off to a nice morning. A little bit of an adjustment, I think, for everybody this week. Holidays, not doing jack squat, eating, and now all of a sudden it's like, all right, back to the Monday through Friday grind. We got a packed show, got a lot going on. Just me today, no guests, so we'll be hanging out for an hour. Hopefully we can get a lot of your comments in today. Hopefully you guys can chime in as much as you guys would like in regards to the topics. So looking forward to get your opinion on all the topics that we have. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show. Last night, post-game show, I thought I was dealing with some technical issues, but I think I got it all figured out. I'm basically an engineer. I mean, a lot of people look at me and say, Al, give me your Laker opinion. If you have engineering questions, just come to me. If I told you what the issue was, you would, you'd basically say, Al, what's wrong with you? And I would not have an answer for you, to be honest with you. All right, let me give everyone a quick idea what we got going on for the show today. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Lakers handled business last night versus the Pelicans. A couple things stood out to me. A couple things that, we'll hit on. Yes, it's the Pelicans. I know a lot of people want to point that out. I get it. I know who the Pelicans are. I understand they got the worst record in the Western Conference. Lakers are now 16-3 versus teams below 500. I think that's actually a very impressive stat. It might not sound like an impressive stat just because their team's below 500, but I think there's a couple angles there. We'll hit on LeBron. How good has LeBron looked these last 3 games? I don't know if he's going to play tonight. I don't know if Wemby's going to play tonight. I'm not sure who's going tonight. But how good has LeBron looked in these last 3 games? I think there's definitely a conversation to have about LeBron. They don't win that game without LeBron last night, so he had a lot to do with that W. We'll spend some time on LeBron. He had a quote about Luka that I think is the right quote. Basically talking about how everyone's going to have to play around Luka. He's not wrong about that. I actually like hearing it publicly, too. I think that kind of says something about LeBron in the sense of understanding where the franchise is and where the franchise is going. So we'll hit on LeBron. I thought Ayton did something yesterday that I think is very, very realistic to do every single night for the Lakers. I'm not even talking about stats. Ayton is, he's been kind of a part of the conversation now for the last, you call it a couple weeks or so. Ayton did something yesterday against the Pelicans that I think is very, very reasonable to ask from him on a night-in, night-out basis. We'll hit a little bit on Ayton. Big game tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. If you start looking at some of the elite teams in the NBA, and if I'm being honest with you, I don't even know if I understand what an elite team is anymore. I mean, feels like everybody's losing to each other. And kind of random losses here and there. Yesterday, the Spurs lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. They lost to Portland the game before that. I mean, I can't – this is after San Antonio was beating the Knicks, the Thunder, winning some very impressive games. So a little confused about tonight's game, but I do have an expectation of what I'm hoping for the Lakers. I do have – if the Lakers are going to start – is this the right way to put it? Being taken seriously, I think there's a style of play that they're going to have to play, and tonight's a perfect example of that. So we'll certainly break down Lakers and the Spurs tonight, what some of the expectations are, what Laker fans want to see in tonight's game against San Antonio. And, the Spurs could very easily represent the Western Conference. That's how good they are. They are a very, very good team. I think they're ahead of schedule. I don't think most people thought that was going to be the case, but they can win the West this year. I don't think that's a crazy assumption to make, and the Lakers got a test in front of them. ESPN's got a good. I'm going to give ESPN some credit here. Not that they're the only platform to do this or the only network to do this, but ESPN's got just, hey, here are more specific stats about each team, how they do against teams above 500, how they do against teams below 500. In the Western Conference, I want to we'll look at it together too. I want to look at how the Lakers do against some of these teams that are below 500 or above 500 and below 500, because there's a vast difference between who the Lakers played yesterday and who they play tonight. And we'll look at all the other teams in the NBA as well who are elite that struggle against teams above 500 or shine against teams above 500. There's only a few. However, those few are the ones that are going to be taken seriously. Those are the ones that you're going to consider right out the gate that probably got a shot at winning the entire thing. Want to have an Austin Reaves conversation. There was, let me see here that what I grabbed. Sam Amick on FanDuel TV was basically saying that there's an Austin Reaves fan club, and leading that fan club is Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka. Well, what if new ownership, what if they're not in the, same fan club of Austin Reaves? What would that potentially mean? We'll get a little bit into that. I got some NBA stuff that I'm going to hit on. There is 4 different teams, trade rumors in regards to Trae Young. A lot of games on the schedule tonight in the NBA. Very busy night in the NBA. And then we'll call it a day. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for hanging out. Quick reminder, I do have the show tonight. So we'll be doing the show tonight right after Lakers and the Spurs. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to do a member show. So if you're a member and you want to hang out, we're going to do it early again tomorrow. We'll do 7:30 again. I think that's the time that we've been doing. Go for about 20 minutes. I'll probably already have most of the show. I'll have a good portion of the show that's already ready to go. I'll get a couple of topics from you guys, and then we'll just shoot the for 20 minutes or so. And then we'll move on and get ready for the show at 8. So busy 24 hours here. So let me take a look at a couple of the comments here before we get the show started, and we'll go from there. All right, let's see. Slee, have you ever seen a road team get 3 challenge calls reversed in one game? Probably not, but and they were all close calls. To be honest with you, the Connect one surprised me because I thought he was kind of leaning a little bit. The Luka one I thought was legit. The only thing that I didn't know that Stu was mentioning on the broadcast is his left leg wasn't down. Does his left leg need to be down, or was he already in position? So there was a few out there. I listen, to answer your question, no, those went the Lakers' way. And those don't always go the Lakers' way. And sometimes you got referees that don't like reversing calls because it makes them look bad. So anyways, that would be my opinion on there. Let me read a few more here before we get started. Listen, if we have a Conan O'Brien quote, I'm all in. I love Conan. Love Conan. Conan always pops up in my YouTube feeds. Nobody in life gets exactly what they thought they were going to get, but if you work really hard, you're kind, amazing things will happen. There, look, get a little Conan O'Brien action right there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you throwing that in there. Conan's got some of his skits. My God, some of the freaking funniest skits I've ever seen. Let me get one more. Look, what's going on here? Do you guys find the 2 people that I love the most, Conan and Bob Marley? One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. All right, phenomenal. Good stuff right there. All right, let's get the show started. Again, I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Lakers handled business last night against the Pelicans. Somebody put in the comments when I did the post-game show yesterday, I was looking at it this morning, and I think it was such a perfect way to describe the game. It was took care of business, move on. That's what the Lakers did last night. It wasn't perfect. A perfect game against the worst team in the Western Conference means you dominate them and nobody plays in the fourth quarter. But if you've been watching Lakers basketball, and I think this is actually most of the NBA, but definitely the Lakers. If you've been watching Lakers basketball, that's just not in the cards for the Lakers. They don't have easy wins and everybody just hangs out in the fourth quarter. I haven't seen that in years for the Lakers. I think more importantly last night for the Lake Show was you actually had a game where the defense won you the game. You actually had a game where LeBron won you the game. So I think there's a little bit that I take from last night's game that's a little bit unique. It's different. I'm not here trying to, pump my chest out or tell it, watch out for I'm not doing any of that. and because there's no reason to do it. But what I will tell you is beating another bad team on the road and running your record to 16-3 versus teams below 500. Think about how many times you've watched Lakers basketball over the years. There's a lot of games the Lakers don't win that they're supposed to. So I actually think the 16-3 stat versus teams above or versus teams below 500, I think it's kind of an impressive stat, if I'm being honest with you. There's a lot of teams that have lapses in the NBA against bad teams. There's a lot of nights where guys will take a day off because they're like, look at our opponent. Who cares? 16-3 versus teams below 500. I know that's not going to be the path to go win you an NBA championship or get you to the Western Conference, or I know those stats don't matter when you play Houston, San Antonio, Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Phoenix. I get it. I'm not trying to make an argument that it matters. But what I am trying to tell you is when you're asked to take care of business night in and night out, there are a lot of days where that doesn't typically happen. They've won 3 games in a row. Memphis, they beat twice, obviously, in LA, and then they handled the Pelicans yesterday. Memphis, by the way, beat the Spurs last night with Victor Wembenyama, who dropped 30. I know Wemby was on a minutes restriction, and we'll see if Wemby ends up going tonight. I'll get into that a little bit later. But I thought the game against the Pelicans yesterday, there was a little bit of go handle your business, and entering the fourth quarter, that game was up in the air. They were down by 7, I think, going into the fourth quarter. There were some moments when you're watching Trey Murphy III torch the Lakers. It's like, I think they're going to get an L in this game. They didn't. Fourth quarter started. They gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter. They outscored the Pelicans 32-17. LeBron almost single-handedly won them that game. Late third quarter, beginning fourth quarter to like mid fourth quarter, you can say Luka was on the bench and LeBron with just kind of these dogs that they had on the floor, I thought got the Lakers realigned and helped the Lake Show get that win. That's a little bit unique from the typical storyline that you have from the Lakers. They didn't need 125 points to win the game. No, they needed to get stops and play some defense, and they did. The Pelicans are not a good team, but they got some good players. Zion's obviously a very talented player. Herb Jones, we've talked about, who was terrible yesterday. Trey Murphy III dropped 40+ and looked amazing for about 3 quarters. And then the Lakers, handled business again against him. Was it the third he had 20? One of those quarters. I think it was the third quarter he had 20 points. So get the win, move on. You're 16-3 now. When you play teams that are below 500, and you're taking care of business when you need to. And the only reason why the Lakers are top 3 right now in the Western Conference, and if they somehow found a way to win tonight in San Antonio, would be second place in the Western Conference and have the 3rd best record in the NBA. The only reason why they're in that spot or in that position is because the Lakers are beating up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on. For now, take as many W's as you can. Eventually, you're hopefully going to get healthy, and Austin Reaves and Rui and Gabe Vincent, some of these guys are going to come back. Specifically, obviously, Austin Reaves is the player that you really, really, really need back. Rui will give you a little bit of depth, as will Gabe Vincent. I'm sure once they get those guys back, another injury will happen. That's just the NBA. You got under 30 days before the NBA trade deadline. I'm going to give the Lakers some credit here. And they still got, a handful of games here in the month of January where they're going to be playing teams below 500. And I'm not telling you that, these are going to be guaranteed locks and wins that the Lakers are going to go get, but kind of handle your shit. And that's what they're doing. And I know there's such a kind of emotional roller coaster, it feels like, with the fan base, with media, with everything, right? Everything around the Lakers. When they win, not that big of a deal. When they lose, the sky is falling. I'll just tell you that, yes, this wasn't the Pistons, this wasn't the Spurs, but just go stack up as many wins as you can, and the Lakers have done that here over the course of the last week or so, and I'm going to give them credit for that. I'm going to give them credit for winning the games they're supposed to win, and, eventually you're going to have to start beating the elite teams to be taken seriously, and that's a conversation that we're going to have. So we'll get into that in just a second here. There were 2 individuals that I just want to hit on for a quick second. LeBron was phenomenal last night. And LeBron's been phenomenal in these 3 wins that the Lakers have won. LeBron's been really, really good. I'm not saying that LeBron is good as a 41-year-old. Put 41 to the side. LeBron's been really, really good these last handful of games. And last night was probably the freshest that I've seen LeBron so far this season. He just looked fresh. Whether it's going up and catching the lob from Luka that did not look like LeBron would be able to go up and get 2 weeks ago, or whether it's LeBron sizing up certain players, or whether it's LeBron running on a fast break, or whether it's LeBron catching guys that are cutting this, that, whatever the case is. LeBron looked fresh. Forget the stats. Forget the 38-8. Forget all that stuff for a quick second. He looks healthy. He looks fresh. He looks like his legs are under him. Now, I don't know how LeBron would look on a second of a back-to-back if he does play tonight, and we're not sure if he's going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron doesn't play. I mean, I think that just kind of comes with the territory right now with somebody who's 41 years old. But I think if you put everything to the side, in all the games that you've watched LeBron so far this season, these last couple of games, you're saying to yourself, timing looks good, legs look good, jumper looks good, ability to get to the free throw line. There are certain areas of LeBron right now. He's not going to be able to do it for 48 minutes. And if you're expecting for him to do it for 48 minutes, that ain't going to happen. But the man looks fresh. And that's the thing that I think I care about most. And I don't know if that's going to change in a week. I don't know if it's going to change in 2 weeks. Maybe it all changes tonight. These last handful of games, maybe it's the competition. I don't have an answer for you. But I don't think it really matters. I think when you're 41 years old and you're still, obviously putting up some great numbers, and it's not just the numbers. He looks good and he looks fresh. I think that's something to talk about. So Lakers get the W. LeBron handles business and he looks good and he looks fresh, like I mentioned. Those are probably 2 of the things that stand out most to me. I got one other thing I want to do on DeAndre Ayton here for a quick second. But let me take a look at some of the comments here before I do that. So let's see what the people are saying. All right, let's see what we got here. Can't wait till the 2026-2027 season. You got time. I mean, listen to me. I think you're lying. I'll tell you why you're lying. If you're listening to a Lakers dominant podcast on January 7th after the Lakers play the Pelicans, I think you're still enjoying, or maybe it's not even enjoying. Maybe you're just saying to yourself, well, I'm just going to be here either way. What are you looking for next year for? Can you just worry about this season right now? Here's the Clutch Sports Slee getting that bag portion of the show for sure. For sure. Absolutely. I guess we can't talk about 38-8. All right, let me see here. Slee is a fountain of positivity today. Here's what happened. Had 2 cups of coffee. Took a nice shower. I shaved. There was a lot that went into it this morning. Let's see what else we got here. Above 500 against sub 500 teams, how young squads develop and grow. All right, let's get another one in here. All right. There's sometimes where the chat offers phenomenal content for the show. Not so far right now. I think that's going to change because I have a lot of faith in people here. But let's just say it's not, it's not the best one that I've seen out there. You guys keep doing your thing. I'll come back to some of these chats that are out there. Ayton did something yesterday that, am I asking too much from Ayton? Let me kind of ask this question to everybody else. Am I asking too much for Ayton? Ayton last night, I thought, did something that I think is very, very realistic to do on a night in, night out basis. And I'm not even looking at the 18 and 11 that he had with 2 block shots and 3 assists and a steal, which, by the way, is all phenomenal. It's great. Ayton's been part of the conversation now for a handful of games. He had that 10 points, 2 rebound game against the Pistons. He had a 4.6 rebound game against Memphis. and only ended up playing 25 minutes. And he didn't play the end of the game because Jackson Hayes was playing better, as JJ Redick put it. DeAndre Ayton did something last night that I think there's only one thing most Laker fans are asking for from DeAndre Ayton on a night in, night out basis. You don't have to have 18 and 11 a night, plus 3 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. But here's something Ayton did yesterday that you could tell for all 32 minutes Ayton was on the floor. I actually knew Ayton was playing. I felt Ayton's presence. The one thing that I think everybody's hoping for from DeAndre Ayton night in and night out, can you just have the proper energy? Can you walk into games? And yes, I do think the team needs to find ways to involve him more. But can it not all be predicated on that? Can Ayton have games where he's just a little bit more, all right, I know he's not Vando, I know he's not Marcus Smart, but can you have a little bit more dog in him? You know what I don't like seeing? I don't like seeing what I saw last night from Ayton, where he was all over the place. He had a presence on defense. He was making those extra passes when he had the ball in the lane, just making quick decisions. Marcus Smart in the corner, Vando cutting, whatever the case is. Some gimmies around the basket, taking advantage of opportunities. You know what I don't like seeing? I don't like seeing players play with one type of energy one game and then less energy the next game. Forget the stats for a quick second. Just energy. I'll give you an example. Jake LaRavia did not have a great game last night. Jake LaRavia, the last 2 games, had a 26-point performance and a 21-point performance. He's had some games, these last couple of games, where he played well, and maybe your expectations are, is LaRavia going to drop another 15 or 20 or something along those lines? He didn't do that yesterday. I think he only had 5 points. But the way Jake LaRavia played didn't change. He still had the right energy. He's still crashing the glass. He's still playing defense. Jake LaRavia is, hey, it's still me. All right, maybe my shot wasn't going. Maybe I wasn't aggressive. Maybe other guys were getting it going. Maybe the Pelicans were focusing a little bit more on Jake LaRavia because he had 2 straight games where he performed well. But the blueprint of Jake LaRavia didn't change. Ayton, it's too much up and down. It's almost like it's, too emotional for DeAndre Ayton. Is he getting touches? Is he not getting touches? If he's not getting touches, how is it going to affect him? Yesterday, I thought for 32 minutes of the 48 minutes, Ayton played 32 minutes last night. Good energy, high motor. You felt him on defense. You felt him on offense. That's all. I think that's all Laker fans want from him. That's it. I guarantee you that's all the coaching staff wants from him. That's all the players on his team want from him. Just be the same player every single night. And if you're the same player every single night, like he was yesterday, he might just naturally end up with 18 and 11. He might have some games where he's 10 and 10. That's fine too. That's okay. But can you be the same motor? That's the only thing that I wanted to see from Ayton. And, obviously that has not been the case on a night in, night out basis. But that's what I noticed with Ayton yesterday. And I'm kind of walking away from the game last night. Of course, LeBron was the lead story. I think if you're looking at the standings, it's like, hey, Lakers kind of right in the mix. There's another lead story. For me, Ayton was also a lead story, and it was part of the reason it had to do with how he looked and the stats that he put up there. But the other piece of it, I think, had a lot to do with it as well. He had an engine yesterday that he doesn't always bring to the table. That's the part that frustrates me with Ayton. You can't pick and choose when to have that engine. You can't pick and choose to say, well, I'm going to play hard because I'm getting looks, or I'm just going to get frustrated. I get it. I don't blame the guy for wanting more looks. I think he deserves more looks, and I think the Lakers are better off giving him more looks. But just that motor, I thought he had that motor yesterday, and I did think that was, obviously so important for the Lakers on a night in, night out basis. What they want from Ayton is just give us the motor. The stats will take care of themselves. And sometimes I don't think he's able. I don't think he brings that every single night. All right, let's get a few of these in here. Ayton never been known for his motor. Okay, then why did he do it yesterday? If he has the ability to do it in one game, that means he's got the ability to do it in every game. It's one thing for DeAndre Ayton. If you're asking Ayton, we need 20 and 12 a night, then I think those are unrealistic expectations. But if I'm asking from DeAndre Ayton, just play hard for 48 minutes. That's all. Just be wherever the ball's at. Give the best effort you can on the defensive side. Those little things I think matter for DeAndre Ayton. I get it. I know what you're saying, Al, but that's not what he's known for. Well, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is if he did it yesterday, why can't Ayton string together 5-6 games where it's just high motor basketball, less emotional basketball? That's the part that I mean as well. All right, let's take a look here. I want to look at a couple of these comments. I expect 10 rebounds a night from Ayton. I think he's averaging about 8. I think he's averaging about 8, I think, so far this year. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Spot on, Big Al. Again, nobody's asking him to be Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaq. But damn, you could do your job just by playing hard for the minutes that you're in there. Ayton with double-double, 2 blocks, a steal, plus held Zion to 5 free throws, which he was 1 for 5. Yeah, Zion does not look like Zion anymore. I've seen some games from Zion. Do you guys remember, was it a playing game? Lakers and the Pelicans? Not last year, the year before. Zion was it a playing game or was it, I think it might have been the last game of the regular season. I can't remember. Zion was a beast. He was unstoppable. That place was rocking in New Orleans. Yeah, that ain't the same Zion. Let's put it that way. That is definitely not the same Zion. Okay, Lakers and the Spurs tonight. I do want to get into here, and we are going to do that in just a second. Want to give a shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I know we've been talking. We've kind of spent a lot of time, and this is one of the things that I love about one of our partners. They have just kind of been, they're part of the show now. And, you know, we've got to a point where a lot of people know Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. They know their impact on the show, the impact they've had on the channel. I'm showing you guys this because we created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, all right, get a free consultation. You don't got to pay anything. No win, no fee is kind of their motto here. So you literally have absolutely nothing to lose by reaching out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. You can put all your information here, your free case evaluation. You could put any details that you want. Again, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. The thing I really do like about this partnership, the thing that means the most to me, literally this man's career is built on trying to help other people who just don't understand the industry. So if you are a family member, a friend, in a serious injury, a wrongful death in the family, whatever the case is, and you just want some legal advice, please do me a favor. Go to the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. You could see how easy it is to fill out this consultation. He can help anybody in the state of California. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm for being a partner here. And shout out, obviously, to all the people on the channel who support our partners. I really appreciate that as well. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Lakers got a game tonight. They're taking on the San Antonio Spurs. So here's what I saw, by the way. Let's kind of get through. There's a couple main things I want to get through. And some of that's going to be the question mark of who's going to play, who's not playing. We're going to kind of figure out. I know we don't have anything official yet. Nothing will come out official probably until this afternoon. But we could still kind of try to play it out. I want to give everyone just what I'm hoping to see tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm going to be doing a post-game show tonight and I expect the Lakers to win. I'd be lying, right? That's the Lakers have had their fair struggles against elite teams in the NBA. Listen, they have beat the San Antonio Spurs this year. They beat them earlier in the year when Wemby was there. And then they lost to the San Antonio Spurs when Wemby wasn't there. That was in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. Here's what I'm hoping for from the Lakers tonight. I'm hoping that the team just fights for 48 minutes. And the result's going to be the result. But what I don't want to see is, because I've seen this too much from the Lakers so far this year, and I think this piece has been frustrating with the Lakers. First off, they don't have the best record versus teams above 500. I'm going to share my screen with you guys in a second on how the West is so kind of difficult to understand right now, because you got a lot of teams that you're expecting to win games every single night. All of a sudden, they're not. I'll use San Antonio as an example. But here's what I'm hoping for tonight. The Lakers have had plenty of games this year where when they've played elite competition, they absolutely fold. No question about it. They absolutely fold. And I'm going to point out some of the games specifically that I'm talking about. We'll look at the Lakers schedule here, and I'm just going to kind of go through some of the games and more recently, some of the games that the Lakers have had. They played Detroit, best record in the Eastern Conference, one of the best records in the NBA. The Pistons are phenomenal. The Pistons beat them by 22. By the way, that was a game in the second half. And then all of a sudden, Lakers, that they're down 4, then they're down 7, then they're down 12. The next thing you look, it's like they're down 18. That's one of the biggest issues that the Lakers have had so far this year. When they get punched in the chin, there ain't that much punching back. And it's one thing to be down against the Pelicans by 9. It's a whole nother animal to be down against an elite team. And do you fight back or do you not? This is what the Lakers have done so far. If this is a boxing match and the Lakers are playing against, an elite team or there's a really good fighter on the other side of the ring, when they get punched in the chin, they basically take their gloves off and they leave the ring. That's been the Lakers. They have the game against the Pistons. They lose by 20 plus. Against the Houston Rockets on Christmas, they lose by 23. The game against the Phoenix Suns, they lose by, 24, I want to say. Look at how much they're losing. When they lose, they get their asses kicked. They lost against the Clippers by 15. I know Luka left, in the second half, or was that the Luka? No, Austin Reaves left in the second half of the game against Houston. The point that I'm trying to make is when Lakers lose, they typically get blown out. And look at the losses that they have. I'm going to read off the last 6-7 losses, and there's a theme with all of these teams. They lost to the Pistons, they lost to the Rockets, they lost to the Suns, they lost to the Clippers, they lost to the Spurs, they lost to the Celtics, they lost to the Suns. The theme is there's only one team in that entire group that's below 500, and that's the Clippers. And look, I'm not watching the Clippers every night, but I know they're playing better basketball than they were a little bit earlier in the season. If there's one thing I'd like to see from the Lakers tonight against San Antonio, can you not get your ass kicked? Can you show a little bit of fight? And I get it. They're missing Austin Reaves, and I'm the first one to say it. Maybe some people undervalue what Austin Reaves brings to the table. It's not going to be easy winning games against elite teams if you're missing your second best player, and maybe LeBron's starting to make the case, nope, I'm still the second best player on this team. Nonetheless, obviously a key player, a key contributor for the Lakers. I just want to watch the Lakers in a competitive game against an elite team in the fourth quarter. And we haven't had that. We really have not had that. In so many of these games that the Lakers have played, by the time you get to the start of the fourth quarter, the game's already over. I'm already prepping for the post-game show like, all right, well, I don't really need to, there's no drama that's left. Can they have a game in the fourth quarter where there's a little bit of drama? I'll give them this. And we kind of ran into this with the Pistons because the Pistons had lost 2 games in a row and they were getting ready to play the Lakers. And I brought up the question. I'm like, hey, could this be a positive thing that the Pistons have lost 2 games in a row? Could there, maybe the Pistons are just, they're in a little bit of a struggle. Well, then Detroit came to LA and they, obviously whipped on the Lakers. San Antonio's lost 2 games in a row. They've actually lost 4 of their last 6 games. And they're not losing against they're not losing against the best of competition. They lost to Memphis. They lost to Portland. They lost to Utah. Cavs were the only team that they lost to of those 4 games. I mean, before that, look at some of the wins that the Spurs were getting. They were beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. They beat the New York Knicks. So San Antonio might be at a vulnerable spot. Now, maybe it works the other way. Maybe San Antonio finds their groove against the Lakers, where we definitely see that against other teams. And when the Lakers have played against the San Antonio Spurs, it's been, it's been tough for the Lakers. Whether it could be De'Aaron Fox, it could be Stephon Castle, it could be Keldon Johnson, there's a Harrison Barnes, Dylan Harper. There's a number of players very talented for San Antonio. And these are not the type of teams that the Lakers typically play and you feel confident about. Young, athletic, push the ball. They can play defense. They can play inside. They can play outside. They hit their threes. Obviously, Wemby is a freak of nature. We'll see if he goes tonight. But I think if there's one thing I'd like to see tonight against the San Antonio Spurs, just keep it close. Okay, you lose the game, you lose the game. That's fine. The world's not going to end, but keep it close. The one thing that the Lakers are not doing right now. Here's why I think a lot of experts out there and maybe even the fan base, why they don't take the Lakers seriously right now is because they just don't have good wins on their resume over the last 30 to 45 days. What's the best win that the Lakers have over the last month? I'll tell you. I'm going to try to find it actually right now as we're sitting here. Let me tell you the best W that the Lakers have over the course of the last month. Let's see if we can find it. Okay. So Grizzlies, okay, nothing there. Jazz, the Suns. The win at Phoenix is the best win that the Lakers have. Yeah. That 2-point win where Phoenix came all the way back from down 20, if you remember. Lakers were playing brilliant. They were playing awesome. Couple of turnovers. Marcus Smart didn't have a good game, made some bad decisions. And then Dylan Brooks gets the technical foul after the Suns go up 1. Devin Booker fouls LeBron on 3. That's the best win that the Lakers have had in the last month. The win against Toronto, I thought, was a decent win. Maybe the win against Philly you can point at as well. But that's when the Lakers were actually playing some good basketball. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of the last 30 days. And I'll go back to what I just said. In order for the Lakers to be taken seriously, you're going to need some wins on your resume where people say, okay, hey, you know what? Lakers can fight through this. They can fight through some adversity. When another team punches, they're going to punch back rather than put their gloves down and take off. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments, and then I'm going to show you some records here. There's a stat that I mentioned and why the West is kind of a little bit all over the place. These teams that are above 500 or the teams, how they perform against teams above 500 versus how they perform against teams below 500. So I'll do that in just a second. And then we'll talk real quick about Wemby and LeBron, the latest on whether they're going to go or not. We'll go from there. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have here. Pelinka trash. He will not build a championship team. Well, I'll tell you this. I said this on the postgame show yesterday. I was talking to Kobe Price about it yesterday when he joined the show. I think it's a very interesting 6 months for Rob Pelinka. And by the way, I don't think Rob Pelinka has done a terrible job. I don't think he's done a terrible job. I think the last year, if you look at a lot of the moves Pelinka's made, he's given the Lakers the flexibility they need. They have some assets, not obviously a lot, but the next 6 months will be very interesting because if they come out of this trade deadline and it doesn't look like they got better, and I'm talking about better for the long term and the short term, more importantly, the long term, if they come out of the summer and it doesn't look like they got better and the team isn't really, they're not putting together the right roster around Luka, I would be looking at that front office. And if you're Mark Walter and new ownership, you don't have any ties to any of these individuals. You got to make decisions that make sense for your business. And let's just say this, if Pelinka's not improving the team over the next 6 months and you like the trajectory of where they're going and his job is completely safe, then I'd be looking at ownership and saying, wait a minute, aren't you guys supposed to come in here and clean this up and be the ownership group that's watching you do what you're doing, obviously across 15 minutes away at Dodger Stadium? I think, of course, that stuff's going to kind of lean in. But if the Lakers put together a championship roster, I would think that that's more because of the fingerprints that new ownership is putting together rather than just your front office. Obviously, you need both to work together. Slee, why wouldn't you hold the Lakers accountable and expect them to go out and win? They're on a weak 3-game winning streak. No excuses. Because I don't think they're better than the San Antonio Spurs. You have expectations based on what you've already seen. If we took a poll right now, and let's say I took every Laker fan out of the mix here. Let's say I just polled NBA fans. Lakers Spurs tonight, who do you think is going to win? 85, 90% are going to say San Antonio. You have expectations based on what you've seen. What I've seen from the Lakers, I've seen them struggle against good teams. Spurs are a good team. I've seen the Lakers struggle against teams that are above 500. So I can't have the I could try to hold the Lakers accountable, but the Lakers are showing me on a night in, night out basis what they are. So all I can go off of is what I see. It would be like me trying to hold Dalton Connect accountable every single night. No, Connect has told me on a night in, night out basis, you can't depend on him. Okay. So my expectations changed for Dalton Connect. The Lakers have shown me every time they've played an elite team, they're going to struggle against that elite team. So why should I expect anything different tonight? That's why, when I'm sitting here and I'm like, listen, just give me a competitive game for 48 minutes. Give me a fight. Give me when the fourth quarter starts, we still have a game. And I think that if the Lakers are able to do that, then honestly, I think it's a step in the right direction. So it's not that I'm not holding them accountable, is I'm just being realistic of what they've shown me. Your expectations changes based on what you watch and what you see. And the Lakers have set my expectations when they play versus elite teams. They've also set my expectations when they play shitty teams. They're 16-3 against bad teams. So now I have an expectation that they're going to take advantage of the bad teams, and then it's going to be a tough grind when they play the good teams. I hope that helps you understand it. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. Lakers are 14-0. I think 13-0 now. I think last night made it 13-0, but you might be right. During clutch games, so win the close ones, but when they lose, they lose. They don't take the L as well. True. Very true. Yeah, 100%. That's a good way to put it. When they do lose, they definitely go down for the count. When they go down, it's not heroic. Let's put it that way. Nobody's looking back and saying, well, damn it, they fought till the end. No, they didn't. When Lakers go down, they might as well leave at the start of the fourth quarter in some of these games that they've lost. All right, shout out for the super. Thank you very much for the super. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Shout out to everybody that's here hanging out on a Wednesday. Lakers got the San Antonio Spurs tonight, so should be a fun game. Let me just kind of give a quick update here, at least some of the things that I read. Will Victor Wembenyama play tonight? By the way, there's some other really good comments in there that I'm going to come back to. In just a second. Here's the latest that I saw on Wemby. Michael Wright, who covers the San Antonio Spurs. I was actually trying to get him on the podcast, wasn't able to. Victor Wembenyama, this is what he said yesterday. Wemby playing tonight, coming off bench on a minutes restriction. So he played yesterday, obviously, against the Memphis Grizzlies. And then what he said after the game, per source, or maybe it was during the game, Victor Wembanyama will also be questionable for tomorrow's game, but will likely play if everything goes well tonight. So we're going to have to wait and see if he's able to go against the Lakers. Wemby looked phenomenal yesterday, dropped 30 points. I know he's kind of been even in and out of the lineup. I think he played 21 minutes yesterday. So I think there's a little bit of expectation that Wemby will play. By the way, the guy had 30 points off the bench in 21 minutes. Jesus. But the Spurs lost. As far as LeBron goes, here's a quote from LeBron yesterday in regards to tonight's game and whether he'll be playing or not. So LeBron was asked the question. His exact quote, every back-to-back for the rest of the season is to be determined. I am 41. I got the most minutes in NBA history. Bank it right now. I don't know really what that tells me. Does that give me confidence LeBron will play? Does it not? I have no idea. I will say this. I think because it's the San Antonio Spurs and maybe because it's Victor Wembanyama, maybe there's a stronger chance that he does go. He looked great yesterday. The game's on ESPN. It's nationally televised. Maybe there is a little bit of, well, let me try to go. If he doesn't go, no surprise there. And maybe that's why he looked so fresh yesterday, kind of gave it everything that he got. If he does go, don't expect the same LeBron tonight. I mean, how could you expect the same LeBron James tonight based on, obviously what he was able to do yesterday, being 41 years old and everything else. So we'll have to wait and see if he's able to go, but that gives everybody just an idea of LeBron and his potential of going tonight. So just a heads up on that. Okay, let's give a shout out here. Harris Resort SoCal. I started doing this yesterday. I kind of like doing it this way. Well, we'll just get the website up. Get the website up as we're sitting here, and we could kind of walk through some of the features here. So Harris is a brand new partner on the channel, and I've had that contact there over at Harris for about 10 years. Part of my new partnership with iHeart has allowed more opportunities, and they're sponsoring a lot of the stuff that I'm doing on AM 570. I do these Laker reports on AM 570 Monday through Friday. They air twice a day, which is awesome. They promote the channel, they promote the show that I'm doing here, and I'm kind of just giving people an idea of what happened the night before or what's to come. And Harris is sponsoring all that stuff. So here's, I think the main thing that I'll tell everybody, by the way, Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, I've ate there before, one of the best restaurants in all of Southern California. And I genuinely mean that. It's a badass restaurant, really, really good food. Here's what I'll encourage everybody. If you're looking for a staycation, try Harris Resort. Go look at what they have to offer. They got over 1,000 luxurious rooms. They're located in North San Diego, over on near the Palomar Mountains is what it's called, that area. It's a beautiful drive getting out there. It's really, really beautiful resort. And what I would encourage everybody to do is, why kind of go out of your way to go book a flight, go somewhere, the headache of the airports and everything else. Go look at what Harris Resort's got to offer. I guarantee you'll be happy with what they have to offer. And I'm looking forward to this partnership because I'm going to be doing a post-game show from there. I'm going to be doing my morning show from there. So we're going to be finding some dates. And pretty soon here, I should have special offers for everybody to book directly through Harris with a code that I'm going to have. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So again, harrissocal.com is the website. Get an opportunity to go check it out. Staycation a couple hours away, obviously, from anywhere in Southern California. Shout out to Harris Resort SoCal for being a partner, and thank you all for supporting our partners as well. Let's keep moving. I like, by the way, doing that. Get the website up, get a little interactive there. I like that. Okay, let's get some more here. Let's see what we got here. Why is it no one admits? By the way, thank you for the 10 spot. I appreciate that. I got a couple other NBA stories I want to get into, but I'm probably going to focus more on just what comments now. I think people are throwing in some good topics here that I want to hit on. Why is it no one admits that LeBron is the biggest problem? He doesn't defend, horrible body language on the court, disrupts the offense, and is a complete narcissist. Okay. All right, let's talk about that. Let me give you areas where I think you're right and areas where I think you're wrong. Okay. So if you think LeBron is the biggest problem on the Lakers team, let's try to play that out here for a quick second. I think if I told you, is he a perfect fit for this team and Luka at age 41? No, he's not. I think that's fair. And I think you could say that also about Austin Reaves. I think Austin Reaves is a perfect fit with Luka as well. So I think there's areas of the roster that the Lakers are just going to have to be better. Does he defend? Definitely doesn't defend the way he used to. No question about it. He's not the same defender that he used to be, and nor should you be asking for that. Body language on the court, I think there's times where his body language isn't good. There was, I thought the Lakers got a little lucky yesterday. There was a play, and I can't even remember. I know it was late third quarter. I think Lakers were down 9. They got very lucky that it didn't go to double digits, and it looked like the wheels were starting to fall off, and LeBron was maybe at half court, was playing no defense. And I in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is not a good look for LeBron right now. Then you got the other side of LeBron. The other side of LeBron is he still has the ability to put up 38 and 8. He still has the ability to either take over a game like he did against the Philadelphia 76ers or just be another asset for the Lakers based off of the players that they have. This is what I've always said about LeBron, or at least I've been saying it a little bit more consistently this year. I think if you're going to fully build around Luka, I don't think you could have LeBron there. And that's not LeBron's fault. He's 41 years old, and Luka also can't play a lick of defense. Luka can't play. He's not going to ever be a defender. So I think there's a little bit there that you have to pay attention to, that when you build a team around Luka, you got to have very specific things around Luka. LeBron is entering the final year of his contract with the Lakers, and I think there's a lot of people out there that don't think LeBron's coming back for another $52 million next season. If you think the biggest problem that the Lakers have is LeBron, then I don't think you're really watching Lakers basketball on a night in, night out basis. You could say that a 41-year-old, depending on him this much, not getting back and playing the same defense that he used to, you could say all that stuff, but he's also doing something no other player at 41 has ever done in the history of the NBA with the minutes and everything else. Lakers got a lot of problems. Okay, let me ask you this. Is Austin Reaves a problem because he doesn't play defense? Is the personnel a problem because of how the team was put together? Is that not a problem as well? I'm just going to, off the top of my head, is JJ Redick a perfect coach? Does he have any issues as well? Does Luka have any issues with the style of basketball that he plays on a night in, night out basis? I mean, if you want to just isolate LeBron James, I think you just don't like LeBron James. That doesn't mean LeBron's perfect. But I think that, you could be honest with each other that there's a lot of holes on this Lakers team and the roster and the front office. I think it's fair to say all of that. I don't think you could isolate one person or one individual. I don't. So it's, obviously one person's opinion there. All right, let's get some more here. Let's get some more here. I'm going to run off of this because I want to see what people also say about this. Thank you for the 10 spot, brother. LeBron has been incredible these past few games, period. I'm not a LeBron fan, but he is now putting effort on the defensive end. Between LeBron or AR, you take AR. Trade LeBron while he's hot. Daryl, you know what I like about this comment? And this is the one thing that I think I ask for every time. The one thing I enjoy the most when I do a show like this, and obviously you guys know I enjoy talking Lakers, I enjoy talking NBA. I enjoy when people could be objective. This guy is not a LeBron fan, but he can still give credit where credit's due. That's all. That's it. You don't have to be a LeBron fan. Nobody's telling you to go out there and say that, you can just be honest. LeBron has been good for 3 straight games. Would you be surprised if LeBron has a bad game tonight when they play a good team that has good defenders? I wouldn't. Probably what I'm expecting. But I think what you said here, the last part, trade LeBron while he's hot. He's not going anywhere. And I also think there's just not a lot of teams out there that want to take on a $52 million contract for LeBron at age 41. I don't think that's happening either. He'll be with the Lakers the rest of the year. Expect Austin Reaves to be with the Lakers the rest of the year. I think those are 2 things that you could depend on. I don't mind the comment. I think the comment is it's worth a conversation. I just don't think I think you're being too hard on one individual when to win in the NBA, you got to have a collective unit. And I don't think you're taking into consideration enough that LeBron's 41 years old. Okay, let's get this one. Stop with the age sleep. He sucks because he's old. He's great because he's old. That's actually a pretty funny comment. If you don't think what he's doing at age 41 is impressive, then I can't help you here. Now that doesn't mean that it's the right thing for the Lakers moving forward. If you told me LeBron's career is done with the Lakers after this season, I would tell you that, damn, that was a fun 8 years with LeBron as a Laker. And I also wouldn't lose sleep after that. I do think they need to start building. If they're going to build a legitimate contender, they're going to have to put all their resources around Luka. LeBron said this yesterday, by the way. By the way, both of those comments could be true. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I think there's a little bit of truth in both of those comments. Here's what LeBron said yesterday after the game about Luka. He said, Luka doesn't need to bend his game. He's our 27-year-old franchise for this ball club. It's up to us to bend our game around him and figure it out. So LeBron obviously knows. He knows it's not even the writing on the wall. He just knows that that's the franchise player. Okay, I got a couple of the things that I want to do here real quick. And before we get out of here, and like I mentioned, there was something here in the Western Conference that I want to share my screen with, and then we'll call it a day. I still got NBA news, but I want to just share a couple of things here real quick. Let me find this on ESPN. Um, this is a good stat to point out, and I think it means a lot for the Lakers. Okay, look at this stat here. Versus teams above 500 versus teams below 500. Okay, so here are the Lakers. They're 10 and 11. No, they're 7 and 8 versus teams above 500. They're 16 and 3 versus teams below 500. Okay, so San Antonio beating up on bad teams. The Thunder beating up on bad teams. Denver's 12 and 6. Houston's 11 and 6. Minnesota 17 and 4 versus teams that are below 500. Phoenix doing really well against teams below 500. Okay, here's the stat that we care about. Here are the teams above 500. The Thunder have 5 losses against teams over 500. The Spurs have 8 losses against teams over 500. The Lakers have 8 losses against teams over 500. Denver, Houston, there are a couple of teams that are elite versus teams above 500. But most of these other teams out here, listen, and Lakers, of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference, Lakers have the worst record against teams above 500. And they're the only team that's actually below 500. So it properly ranks the Lakers. When they got to go up against elite teams, they struggle. But it's not like the San Antonio Spurs are 10 and 8. Oklahoma, we know, have lost. 3 of those games are against the San Antonio Spurs. So we obviously understand that. We know that. Denver and Houston have the 2 best records against teams that are above 500. So I actually, when I saw that, I thought that was going to be a little bit worse. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought that was going to be a little bit worse. And I was surprised that it really wasn't as bad. But I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. At the end of the day, if you want to be considered one of the best teams that everybody's taking you serious on, you're going to have to beat some more teams that are above 500. That's just how it's going to go. All right, let's get another one here. Slee, at age 41, this is still LeBron's team, and that's it. When LeBron is controlling the ball and Luka on the bench, you see how the players play. I don't think it's LeBron's team. I think LeBron knows it's not his team. I think the Lakers front office have already said it ain't your team, it's Luka's team. And I still think LeBron can be effective with the ball because there were some moments yesterday in these last couple of games where he's controlling the ball and Luka was on the bench and he was still effective, still getting everybody else involved. He had a kind of a comment a week ago that I thought was – he had a comment about a week ago talking about how he has not played on ball, and I thought there was something indirect about that. Like, hey, Luka plays on ball, Reaves plays on ball. I'm not really playing on the ball. That's not what I'm asked to do. LeBron is used to playing on ball. Will LeBron play on ball a little bit more now that Austin Reaves is out? I think he has been playing a little bit more on ball. But guys, I'm going to just show you guys how different everybody's comments are. I had this comment basically saying LeBron is the biggest problem. I got this one saying, look how LeBron is still playing at this age. So I think everybody feels a certain way, and there's a lot of people that feel one way about LeBron, and there's a lot of people that feel another way about LeBron. If I have to simplify it, there's games where LeBron looks like he's 41. There's games where LeBron looks like he's 35. Last night, he looked like he was 35. These last couple of games, he looked like he was 35. When he played the Pistons, he looked like he was 41. And that's probably the up and down you're going to get the rest of the season. I appreciate the super. Let me get another super in here as well. Jay, we want Slee merch. I'd be very disappointed that in the next 30 days, I don't have that available for people. So hopefully in the next 30 days, I can make that happen. All right, brother. And I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you dropping the 10 spot right there as well. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate the love on this channel, by the way. Have I ever told you guys I really enjoy doing this show? I don't think I've ever told you guys that. Really enjoy doing the show. Really enjoy doing the show. Okay. I got some NBA news that I want to get into. So let's spend a little bit of time, the rest of the show, hitting on the NBA, hitting on a few things around the league, and then we're going to get out of here. I got something from Austin Reaves, but I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. Do I do that right now? Let me read this. Let's do this right now. Sam Amick said this yesterday on Run It Back on FanDuel TV. He said, Jeannie Buss is the captain of the Austin Reaves fan club. And Rob Pelinka is a huge fan as well. Now, if Mark Walter, the new Lakers majority owner, sees things differently, then who knows what will happen down the road. But right now, all signs point to them paying Austin Reaves that massive amount coming his way this summer. I thought it was an interesting quote for a couple of reasons. And that's why I say the next 60 days to me, or the next 6 months to me, is very interesting around Lakers basketball. You got a new era of Lakers basketball. That's not just, is LeBron on his way out and Luka now the head of the franchise, but you got ownership that, when I say on their way out, what I mean is there's new ownership. If Mark Walter starts surrounding himself with basketball minds left and right outside of Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, and they're telling him, brother, you can't win having two guards like that in your backcourt. That's just not how the NBA works. And Mark Walter starts, getting into his head. Well, if that's what they're telling me, I'm not the expert here. I'm not a president of basketball operations. I'm not a general manager. It's going to be interesting to see how things kind of develop. I still think Austin Reaves will be a Laker at the end of the trade deadline. I think the Lakers will pay Austin Reaves. I think the bigger question is, 2 years from now, is Austin Reaves a Laker? I don't have that answer for you. But I thought that was an interesting quote. And I think there's some truth to that. He doesn't have to be emotionally attached to any of the players. He's looking for results. Typically, CEOs and owners, they're not emotionally attached. They're looking for results. So we'll see how that eventually pans out. Couple things around the NBA I'm going to get into real quick. Very busy night in the NBA. It doesn't mean there's a lot of good games. It just means it's busy. It means that if you're looking for a lot of, NBA basketball, you're going to be able to get it tonight. I'll show you guys my screen here real quick. We can look at some of the games going on tonight. Here's what we got going on. Lakers and the Spurs at 6:30. Let's see if there's any good games. Bulls and the Pistons, maybe a decent game. Pistons is a good watch. They play good basketball. Wizards and the Sixers, nobody cares. Nuggets and the Celtics. Nuggets could be facing another L just because of obviously some of their injuries. Boston 23-12. Boston's so impressive. Clippers got the Knicks in New York. Suns play the Grizzlies, Jazz, Thunder, Bucks, Warriors, Rockets, and the Trailblazers. A lot of games in the NBA, like I mentioned, and just a very, very busy night in the NBA. Okay, one other thing I want to point out around the NBA here. NBA trade rumors. This one's kind of an interesting one. Playoff contenders. This was a good article that was out there on heavy.com, which has a sports section out there, and it kind of aggregates a lot of different stuff. What will the Celtics and the Warriors do? Is Boston going to be aggressive? Because the record that they have in the Eastern Conference, don't tell me, are they second in the East? Oh my God, Boston's second in the East. I know a lot of Laker fans don't want to hear this. That's a well-run franchise. To lose Jason Tatum and still be second in the East, that's freaking impressive. It really is. But the article goes into, will the Celtics be buyers because of their situation? And there's kind of chatter out there that you might get Tatum back in March or something along those lines. The Golden State Warriors seem to be a team that is just in complete desperation mode to still compete with Steph Curry. We'll see what they end up doing. Obviously, Jonathan Kuminga's name gets thrown out there. Desperation, Milwaukee, Dallas are on a list of a couple other teams that are desperate to do something. And what will the Mavs do with Anthony Davis? And then this is kind of an interesting piece of their article as well. You got the bottom feeders that are fueling all these NBA trade rumors. Brooklyn, Sacramento, Indiana. You got teams out there that everybody's asking, what are they going to do? The Pelicans, what are they going to do? And a lot of the players that a lot of these, teams want happen to be on teams that are not playing well, which is why they would trade some of their players. So that's the main topics that I have around the NBA. And like I said, a lot of games coming up tonight. One other thing that I'll mention here before we get out of here. By the way, I'll grab this one real quick. He always looks 35 against the worst teams in the NBA. Listen, hey, I don't completely disagree with that. I think if you go up against Houston, you're not going to look like you're 35. If you go up against Detroit, he's not going to. I don't disagree with you on that. We'll see what he does tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. This is one of only 9 games for the Lakers over this 9-game stretch where they're playing a team over 500. So there's some truth to that. Start playing young, athletic teams, it's going to be a lot more difficult for LeBron. I'll go back to what I said a lot when the season started and when LeBron came back. If you're depending on LeBron at age 41, you got a problem. So we'll see what happens here. Final thing that I got here, as far as giving everyone a quick idea. Tonight, post-game show, right after Lakers and the Spurs, probably right after JJ Redick, I'm going to go live. Tomorrow morning, a member show at 7:30, regular show at 8 a.m. So that's what we got going on for the rest of the day, and then obviously the rest of the day for tomorrow as well. I'm going to sneak in a couple more comments here and go from there. Lakers would be second in the East. I don't know if they would. Let's get another one here. You cannot allow Jeannie to do with Austin what she did with Rob and JJ and stick with us with a bad contract. Coaches, you can move on from player contract. You cannot ask Philly. Yeah, I think what you'd be saying here is if Austin Reaves doesn't have value. Austin Reaves, I think, has a lot of value around the NBA. And whether that's with the Lakers, he's there long term, he's going to find a home somewhere. I mean, the guy is obviously he's a very, very nice player and an all-star in the Western Conference this year if he doesn't get injured. AR shouldn't get a max deal. What people thinking? AR is an extremely good player, but why now coming off a max, tie our hands with another? I don't think he'll get a max, but I think he's going to get paid a lot of money. So something to keep in mind there. All my people, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Looking forward to doing the post-game show tonight. Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. Come back here after, whether you're listening to this live or you're listening to this later on recorded or you're grabbing it on the iHeartRadio podcast. I appreciate everybody being on here. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. I will see everybody tonight after the Lakers take on the Spurs. Thank you, everybody.